Hello guys and welcome to UEFA Nations League, last match day, last video of this season, talking about football, of course. So we have Dani, we have Alvaro, and remember that we want to know your opinion. Leave your comments, press the like, subscribe, and now let's go on with the show. Last video of this season, because these are the last games we have in this week, and still we have to analyze 6 games. Hello Dani, hello Alvaro.
Ciao. Ciao.
Hello. Very long season, very exciting, ending with this Nations League. So let's start, guys, starting with Denmark, Austria, one of the surprises teams of the Nations League. Denmark 6 points topping the group, although they were defeated, surprisingly, by Croatia in their last game at home, with Pasalic scoring the goal. Dani, now, of course, they are super favorites to face Austria. I think Austria is kind of overperforming, as we didn't expect, with Ralf Rangnick on the bench, and the odds actually for Denmark to win is not that bad.
Well, I think with Ralf Rangnick, we could say change nothing in terms of players to change everything, because Austria looks like a very different team from the one that underperformed in the World Cup qualifiers after the Euros. They look more compact, they got more endeavor. You know, they're quite hard to beat, I would say, especially at the beginning of games, and that's when, you know, they leave the mark. Against France, it was a very good first half, and they don't only defended, but they were able to hit them on the counter quite effectively. In the second half, they camped in their own half, and then in the end, I think France should have won the game, really, once Mbappe came on. But, you know, it's positive from Austria. They demonstrated, you know, they got much spirit and, organizations about them. I don't think they'll win the group, of course, but, you know, even finishing third in this group might guarantee them to go to the playoff for the next Euros. So do not discard Austria as a possible playoff qualifier for next Euro 2024. When it comes to Denmark, a team that doesn't concede many goals, and I think in the end, the 6 points they got in the table is just about right, because I think against Austria in the reverse fixture, they were a little bit lucky. They shouldn't have won that game. And also you could say maybe against France, a draw would have been a fair reflection. Look, I'm always impressed with the way the Danish play, the way they attack. They always conclude actions with shots or crosses, and they are a solid team. Let's not forget how well they defended in the World Cup qualifiers. Only 3 goals conceded, 2 in the last game against Scotland when there was nothing to play for. For this reason, look, I think this is the last game of the season for all the players. You could expect them to be tired. You could expect the games maybe to be not overly spectacular, especially second half. Players might think about the holidays already, well deserved. Both to score no, in this case, 1.96, so either only one team on the score sheet, potentially Denmark, or it could be a drab 0-0.
And we've seen many surprises in this Nations League because the players are tired. Perhaps they are not giving importance to these games. It's good to go for the high odds because, Alvaro, for instance, on paper, we thought that Austria was the poorest team in this group.
Yes, well, I don't know if the players don't give importance to this competition, Edu, but I'm telling you, maybe the Austrians don't, because they won't play the World Cup. But for some Danish players, there are many things at stake. So I think that the players should take this competition seriously, because otherwise the manager may think, all right, some other players, they deserve to go to the World Cup. This is the final stage before the World Cup, with the exception of what happens in September, a bit more of international football. So, this Nations League has been pretty useful for managers, just to see, to use all their players in the lineup and the squad. I mean, we have seen many changes, rotations, and I believe that it's kind of working for both Denmark and Austria this time, because they are in a very competitive group, and they've been so far showing that they are capable of at least giving a torrid time sometimes to the best teams. Denmark, in fact, they reached the Euro semi-finals, and the truth is that they are still competitive with 6 points this time. I disagree a little bit with Daniele when it comes to the Danish in the Nations League, because I think that in the Euro, yes, they were very capable of creating many chances and finishing their chances, but here in the Nations League, if you check the stats, they've been slightly more, not conservative, but definitely incapable of producing so many attacks. And in fact, they are the 38th in attempts out of 54 teams in the Nations League. Of course, it has to be said that in these stats, they put together the League A, League B, League C, and League D. There are some things in League B, League C, and League D that they were so easy draws, in my opinion, that's why they create so many chances, right? But on the other hand, I thought that Denmark was capable of producing more in attack on the basis of what I saw last summer. It's difficult to predict, of course, because Denmark, for example, they did 6 changes in the last game. On the other hand, Austria is doing many changes too. Then there are players that you thought that they were gone for football, like Andy Weimann, for example, who was playing for Aston Villa 8 years ago with Benteke and Gabi Akonlaor, and the other day, for example, he scored his first international goal, which is unbelievable because the guy is over 30 years old now. So these games are very difficult to predict. The rotations are dictating what's happening. So I'm going to go very simple here. I think that Denmark has been a better team than Austria in the last 12 months. They are playing at home. I'm going to back them to win. As you say, Edu, the odds are all right, 187. And even the Asian handicap minus 0.75 for Denmark, which is slightly, obviously, more ambitious with the Danish, gives good money as well. That means that if they win by 2, you win. And if they win by 1, you get half a win. And that pays 2.10.
And the other game we have in this group is France-Croatia. Remember, of course, this is the final of the World Cup 2018. Since then, we saw already this game 3 times. And Croatia won absolutely 0. But perhaps it's good, Alvaro, to go for a surprise here. Croatia to win in Saint Denis 7. Are the odds seeing so many surprises again? And this France, I'm still, what can we say? No, they are the world champions, so I'm not going to criticize them, but I'm still very doubtful about the Didier Deschamps, to be honest. I think with the amount of quality France have, they should be playing way better in these last 4 years.
Well, Russia 2018 happened 4 years ago. Let's not forget. And in the meantime, we have had a little bit of a generational change in every national team, a global pandemic that stopped football for 3.5 months, and a Euro. And France didn't make it through the last 16 round. They lost to Switzerland in penalties. So I think the French national team, obviously, they have to look at the future. And looking back at the past is a little bit pointless, what they did in World Cup 2018, because at the end of the day, it's 4 years now, 4 football seasons after that. And the truth is that, again, it's difficult to take big conclusions in this Nations League because France did 7 alterations in their last lineup again. So, as I said before, Didier Deschamps obviously is using all the players he's got available because he's trying to make the most of the squad, thinking of the World Cup. But at the same time, yes, it's true that some other squads are making many substitutions as well, and the thing is kind of working for them. For example, the Netherlands or Spain, they are getting more points than the French national team. A team in which Benzema and Mbappé are way over everyone else. Mbappé the other day scored a really good goal for the French team, and it's a matter of making this team playing as well. And I think that this French national team, they've got the athleticism of many players, they've got quality in every position, but at the same time sometimes they are missing a little bit of a spark in midfield. I think that this is very important too. Maybe their most talented midfielder is Rabiot, and Camavinga, who is not in the squad. But in terms of talent, then of course Rabiot is not the best midfielder they've got, not at all. I mean, the best probably French midfielder right now is Pogba or Kanté. But I think that this team needs a little bit of a spark going forward. And in the World Cup, on paper they've got the best squad in the world, but then they will have to prove it. Some other teams like Brazil, for example, they've been hitting great numbers in the last 3 years. So considering France favorite for the next World Cup, maybe it's a little bit too ambitious. I'm gonna go here for Croatia to win. that pays 7, and that is going to be my risky bet of the week. I don't see why not. At the end of the day, it's the last video that we're going to do with the Nations League in the month of June. So I will put a little bit of my stake in Croatia to win because it pays 7. Not even the double chance. I'm going to go for Croatia to win because I want to win big if I do win. But of course, there are some other markets that our listeners should know about. Double chance for Croatia in the first half, which is something quite appealing as well, 175. And since I'm not ready to back any team right now, or France, sorry, that much, because their win doesn't pay a lot, I'm going to go for the Asian handicap corners, minus 1.5 for France. I expect them to attack a bit more, right? They are playing at home. So that pays 169. So yes, I like that one too.
I expect a level game here, like the one we saw a few days ago when it ended 1-1. Croatia definitely got the skills in midfield to control the game. Dalic made a few changes in Copenhagen. He left Modric out for the first half alongside Pasalic and Kovacic. When they came on, the game changed. So I would expect for such an important game to go with the starting 11, you know, with the full 11. But again, you have to also consider that for many Croatian players, especially Modric, Brozovic, Kovacic, it's been a very tiring and long season. I'm not expecting a spectacular game here because, on the other hand, what has to be said about Croatia, it's very difficult for them to score a goal. They need to create a lot of chances to score. They are not a high-scoring game. They don't have an iron-cast goal scorer within their lines. They're missing one of the best players, Perisic, who's injured. So it's always a little bit of a rebus to think who's going to actually score the goal for Croatia. But you could be sure they're going to be good on the ball. They're going to give France a really hard time in midfield. With France, I think I agree completely with Alvaro said. They do miss sometimes a little bit of spark in the middle of the pitch. And also, I think they got the dilemma who's going to play on the left side of the attack, because Coman seems to be the favorite of the champ, but he's a right-footed. So, you know, he's not naturally suited to play on that side, and that leaves Griezmann out. And, you know, that could be an option as well, but we saw it against Austria, how important is the introduction of Mbappé. When he came on, he changed the game completely. He has to be included in the squad. For this one, it could be a tight game. As I said, I think for me, in all of these games that we're going to analyze today, the end of the season factor, I think, could play a part. I'm going to be conservative in this one. Under 1 goal in the first half, which pays 199, so almost double your stake. So if there's only 1 goal in the first half, 1-0 each way, you get your money back. If the first half finishes 0-0, you win.
And we are seeing many draws actually in this Nations League. For instance, in the next group on Tuesday, we have England-Hungary, and in this group, we haven't seen England winning a single game. Only 1 goal scored in these 3 games, with Hungary being very, very competitive. Remember that Hungary was able to beat England only 1 week ago. Danny, the bookies show England super favorite. Perhaps, again, is a good option. Why not to go for the draw or an Asian handicap +1, for instance, for Hungary?
Well, you could, because based on form and based how they approach the game and based on game plan, Hungary looks the better side, not player on player. But I think the difference between this Hungary team and the rest of the team in the group is that the Hungary knows their style of football, know they have to play, they like when they get attacked, they know how to exploit the spaces, and they've done time and time again in the Euro qualifiers, at the Euros, in the Nations League. I mean, in terms of quality, obviously, England, Italy, and Germany, they are far superior than Hungary. But when it comes to knowing your style, I think this is really important. And we saw Hungary really, really good in the game in Budapest, exploiting the wide areas against the 3-5-2 of England. They were pushing the wing-backs far too high. England are under pressure, massive under pressure, to win a game, first of all, to make sure they don't get relegated from this Nations League. They only got 2 points. And also to inspire a little bit more. They seem to have taken a step backwards from last summer. They perhaps rely too much on Sterling. They don't have a midfielder that can still control the ball. There is a lot of hype around some of the English players, obviously because they play on the Premier League, might be a little bit unjustified. And as I said before, some players, they look tired. A long season in the Premier League, fighting for the title, fighting for top four. It's tiring, you know. You can see the likes of Harry Kane, the likes of Declan Rice, obviously Maguire as well, Trent. They are not there, I think, in this case. But, you know, England could scrape it. This could be a very different game from the one they play against Italy, where they still had some decent chances. This is going to be played in front of a crowd, still in Wolverhampton. Again, it's the last game of the season. Southgate needs to win it. Otherwise, he will be a lot under pressure come September. It comes the World Cup. Only 3 games to go with the World Cup. Look, I think when you look at the bookies, because a lot of bettors are from England, English speaker, the odds for England are always really, really good. And I'm going to single out one that I think it's a bit crazy. 1-0 for England pays 6.13. 2-0 for England pays 5.75. So it pays less for England to win 2-0 rather than 1-0. But based on form, you should go maybe for the 1-0 win, you know, a really scrape victory, but which, you know, could be the crazy one if you like, 6.13. But I also like Hungary Asian handicap plus 0.75 in the second half. That pays 2.05. So that means if Hungary draws the second half, you win. If they win the second half, you win. If they lose the second half by 1 goal, you lose half your stake.
Following the Danny's speech, Alvaro, always the odds for England are very low because of what Danny said, also for Man United, for instance, so it's good to go on the other way, back in Hungary in some way or the other.
Yeah. I think that Daniele's explanation was very good there. It also applies to the Premier League. And, you know, one thing is what you perceive, and another thing is what you finally get. And I think that in this case, English football has been for a long time perceived a little bit higher than it was, but when it applies to the Premier League, there is more logic into it. But when it applies to the English national team, I think that it's exaggerated, because the Premier League at the end of the day right now it's definitely the best league in the world, but the English national team is not quite there yet, even though I have to say that they tend to negotiate the group stages, the qualification stages, World Cup qualification, Euro qualification, really well lately. Don't forget that in 2008, for example, they didn't qualify for Euro. But this seems unthinkable right now for the English national team. But it also seemed unthinkable to me that they were going to have, 1 point at this stage? 2 points. 2 points at this stage of the competition, yes. And especially having scored only 1 goal. Because I think that this English national team, normally they are a little bit, how to put it, they are capable of scoring many against the lesser sides, and then they don't score so many against the bigger sides. But against Hungary, I thought that they were going to be capable of scoring many goals in there, and that didn't happen. But I think that this is the game for England to become again what they normally have been lately, which is a team that scores many against the lesser sides and then suffers against the bigger sides, which is completely logical in footballing terms anyway. So I'm gonna back England here to win with a certain ease and comfortability, because I think that this is a team with many players who can score. The other day, for example, against Italy had their chances, but England too. Raheem Sterling in the second post missed a sitter. Imagine that Ilkay Gundogan hadn't been there when Manchester City won the title and Raheem Sterling had been there where Gundogan scored in the second post. Well, maybe he would have missed it, because Raheem Sterling missing at the second post, it's something that happens quite a lot. Then Mason Mount hit the post and all that. So I think that England created a few chances against Italy, but they are going to create more against Hungary. So I'm going to go for England to score in both halves, 2.15. And I like the England to win at 30 minutes market. That pays 2.25, so it's pretty simple here. I mean, a strong start from the English side, 1-0 before 30 minutes, enough to get 2.25. But let's don't forget that, anyway, Hungary has been a very good team. They drew with Germany, and for example, in Germany the other day, 5 minutes on the watch, and they were leading. So, you know, they are capable of capitalizing their chances too.
Let's talk about Germany then. The other game of this group is Germany-Italy in Gladbach in the Borussia Park, a historical game. I remember, of course, the semi-finals of the World Cup in Germany. I'm sure Danny also remember that game. both teams are undefeated, actually. 3 draws for Germany. Italy topping the group after everything that happened in that game against Macedonia. North Macedonia, I have to say. Alvaro, North Macedonia. What do you expect in this Germany-Italy? The odds, again, very low for Germany. So perhaps as well, why not going for another draw here?
Yeah, that could be an option. I'm going to leave that maybe for Daniele, because he can break down the Italian side much better than we can. I'm going to go here for Germany to win, though, Edu. That pays 178, and I think that they are creating many chances, and they are playing at home, and maybe this is the time for them to win. At the end of the day, in this Nations League, they have drawn 3 games, but I think that they have deserved to win in 2 of them, against England and against Italy, back in Italy. So maybe this is the time for them to win. Having said that, Germany right now is far from intimidating in the boxes, because in defense they have conceded 3 goals in as many games, and in attack they haven't scored many, only 3 goals. And if you see the attacking lineup they've got with Musiala, Werner and Havertz, well, Musiala is probably a generational talent in German football. Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, they are quite inconsistent when it comes to scoring every weekend. I mean, it happens, when they are in a good run, they can score many, but then suddenly they go through rough patches, even though, that said, Timo Werner the other day should have scored had Hoffman set him up, but it was a 2-on-1 on Gulaxi, and Hoffman missed it and missed the pass to Timo Werner. Anyway, a few things to single out for the Germans is the fact that Hoffman has scored 2 goals in as many games. The other day, as I said, he missed one with Timo Werner, but at the same time, he's been a decent scoring solution for the German team. And then David Raum, the player from Hoffenheim. At the end of the day, this player, he was playing in the 2nd division last year, and this season he scored over 30 goals. He played over 30 games for Hoffenheim, and that's why he started earning caps for the national team. And it's nice to see that players from the 2nd division can actually start playing for Germany once they play in the Bundesliga. Hansi Flick is trying to use all the German football grassroots he's got available, and some of the players are obviously responding. When it comes to Italy, well, they had good chances against England, especially Tonali and Pessina. They managed to get a 0-0 against them. I like about Italy the fact that in the last 20 minutes the game was over, because the defense was so good that they didn't concede any chance. This is very promising moving forward for the Italian side, but moving forward for Italy means after January 2023 and not in November 2022. So Germany to win, 178, I like that one. And both teams to score, no. This is going to be my kind of risky bet here. That doubles up your bet. I think that Italy is not going to score here.
Well, you talk about talents from Zwei, the Bundesliga, the 2nd division of Bundesliga. Well, Italy's got plenty of talents from Serie B, because Mancini is giving the debut to the likes of Gatti, who plays for Frosinone, Esposito plays for Spal. Then we had other debutants, a few players that never made it to Serie A. Is the Mancini Lab. He's experimenting. He's trying to give a cup to anybody who could be a national side material. He's trying everything to try to rejuvenate the team. But at least, after 3 games, he admitted he was expecting the worst. He was not expecting to have 5 points on the table. So things have gone much better than what the national manager expected. But, credit to him, at least for reinstilling a little bit of belief, a little bit of energy in the Italian camp. So they go and approach this game, which is very tough for them, with the belief that they are not as bad as everyone thought they were going to be. Obviously, massive regrets, because people say, why didn't we rejuvenate 3-4 months ago, and we could have easily beaten one between Bulgaria, Northern Ireland, or the North Macedonia. But so be it. We are out of the World Cup. We need to try to make the most of these games, as we are doing. A decent game against England. I think in the end, Italy perhaps deserve a little bit more, but there is always the same issue: the goals. The goals are drying. Italy, at the moment, they don't have a goal scorer. They're playing with Gianluca Scamacca from Sassuolo, a good presence in up front. He does help the team, but you need sometimes somebody that one ball, one goal, and he doesn't. He needs a few chances to score. He's not the same in Serie A, but obviously, yeah, with the Italian national team. But, you know, they always had the same issue, even against other top teams. If you look at the Euros, scored 1 against England, 1 against Spain, 2 against Belgium. Before, you know, even in the Nations League, only 1 against Spain. So, you know, it's always that. Look, regardless of how this game goes, I think the Mancini lab is working. The rebuild project has been a success. So they wouldn't be too disappointed if they lose this one. And I think, yeah, I think the different quality this time will show, and I'm gonna go for a German win, but I'm gonna go for a German win 2-0. So I'm gonna be a bit more cautious. German clean sheet. So, you know, I leave myself the opportunity of a 0-0, but I think it's gonna be a German win.
All right, and the last group, Netherlands are topping the group, and now they are facing Wales. Be careful if you see these low odds, because also we were very confident that they were gonna beat Poland very comfortably, and they drew, and they were losing actually 2-0 in the first minutes of the game. But overall, of course, we know that Netherlands, they are doing a good job lately under Louis van Gaal, whereas for Wales, after focusing on the World Cup playoff, now they got a good point, Danny, against Belgium. So also this could be open to a surprise in Rotterdam. They are playing this game actually.
I went for an over 1.5 goals in the second half for this one, because I think this of all the 6 games we're going to analyze is going to be the one with most goals, especially because the Dutch, you know, they've been scoring 2 or more, I think, in 10 of the last 13 under Van Gaal. It is an exciting team. They got a lot of options. Yes, they went behind against Poland, but, you know, they could have won it in the end. Yeah, I think the Dutch, they are far from perfect, but they have implementing, I think, the best side of their football, which is, you know, pass and move, interchanging positions. They're exciting. Let's see if they make changes here. Wales, always a difficult nut to crack, I would say. You know, they can match the top teams. So yeah, I think this is gonna be an over 2.5 goals, which I left for my ACCA. Let's go for over 1.5 goals in the second half, 197.
We have to say that in this group, every single game had both teams to score. Alvaro.
Yes, it's very entertaining. And the truth is that the Dutch team right now, I don't know how far they are going to get in the next important tournament, the World Cup, but the truth is that at least they are quite vibrant, and that makes them worth watching. And as Daniele said, they interchange positions very well. Then they've got a really good physicality that allows them to, you know, to play with a very high line, and then, you know, push a lot, press up front, to the point that, for example, players like Memphis, they look quite rigid in comparison to some others that are, you know, so athletic, like Dumfries, who, by the way, has scored 2 goals in the Nations League, as many as Cristiano Ronaldo or Sarabia. I'm not mentioning these names circumstantially. It's because they are the top scorers of the League A. So Dumfries is doing a terrific job when it comes to scoring too. But yeah, my favorite here is by far the over 2.75 goals in Netherlands-Wales, which pays 195. And let me tell you why. Because as Daniele said, Netherlands have scored more than 2 goals in 10 out of the last 13 games, or 9 out of the last 12, as I had in my stats. Because also Memphis, for example, the other day missed a penalty, but the Netherlands could have won in the last minute of the game. Also because the Netherlands are scoring many, and on top of that, because also Virgil van Dijk is not there, he's on holiday, so that's why going for the goals market is even more appealing, because, for example, the other day, Nathan Ake made a mistake as he broke the offside line, and the Dutch team conceded the goal. So without Van Dijk, the Netherlands are more prone to conceding goals, and on top of that, they are scoring many. So my best option here is the over 2.75 goals in Netherlands-Wales, 195. But then there are some other markets that I also like. For example, Netherlands to score in both halves. I know this hasn't happened lately because the Netherlands have scored 2 or more, but normally they score it in the second half. Anyway, scoring in both halves for them is 205. Or otherwise, Netherlands to win the first half. I like this one too because I think they are much better than Wales. So that pays 183. And I know that Wales, they are capable of producing danger. The other day, Gareth Bale played against Belgium and he got a very good chance. Johnson scored a very nice goal after a sublime assist from Aaron Ramsey, so the quality is there. But yeah, I think that the Netherlands should win this game, 183. But if not, go for something like over 2.75 goals because both teams are capable of scoring, especially the Dutch.
Netherlands very entertaining always. Same we can say about Belgium because defensively they are usually very bad, even and especially now with Mignolet in the goal and in the attacking line, they are always very interesting. Now they are facing Poland. In the last video we talked down about Poland, Alvaro, and about the culture of football in Poland, but they got a good draw against the Netherlands. Are we gonna say exactly the same about Poland in this video?
I'm going for Belgium to win to start with, so maybe that is my answer to your question, Edu. 2-16, Belgium to win. I like this one a lot, and the truth is that the Polish side the other day, yes, they scored 2 goals against the Netherlands in the first half. They could have lost the game as well because Memphis missed the penalty right before the end. There were a few positive signs for the Poles, of course. For example, Lewandowski didn't play that game, and still they managed to score 2 goals. Mati Cash, he scored his first international goal, the right back from Aston Villa. Then, the manager is giving chances to the goalkeeper. So in this Nations League period cycle, 3 goalkeepers have featured for Poland. Dragowski, Gravara, the other day was Skorupski, the Bologna goalkeeper as well. So yeah, this side is also just trying to test a little bit what they've got available in the squad, who is worth it for the World Cup, who is not. But yeah, generally speaking, I think the Belgian side, they are correcting themselves after having lost against the Netherlands 4-2. In fact, they beat Poland 6-1 the last time they met. That was a week ago. Even though Poland scored first, then Belgium in the second half stormed out on the pitch and did it. So I expect them to win again here. So Belgium to win 2-16. And then there are a few things that I like here. For example, over 2.5 goals. I find that the money is pretty decent too, 205. So I could go for that one too. But Belgium to win alone is appealing enough for me.
Not any of the 2 defenses are particularly great, I would say. Not any of the 2 goalkeepers that will play are particularly great. I think these are teams that got a lot of flaws. You would expect a little bit more from Belgium considering they got on the pitch. But again, a lot of changes. I think, again, last game of the season feeling, we might have seen the starting 11 from Belgium at the World Cup, whereas from Poland, without Lewandowski, yeah, good results there. But again, I think it's a very uninspiring team. Poland, by the way, are looking for a new manager. They think to here hiring Cannavaro. Anyway, we will see. I mean, that's gonna be interesting after a few seasons in China. Very quickly, I think this has got all the feel of a midsummer friendly for me. Both to score 192.
Cannavaro is in the market, we can say that, because he's in the rumors every single day, training every team around Europe. Danny, last ACCA of this very, very interesting season that we've...
And successful season as well. Whereas in terms of tips, Denmark, Austria, under 3.5 goals. England to win 2-0, possibly 1-0. Germany, Italy, under 2.5 goals. Wales, Netherlands, Wales, over 2.5 goals. The total odds, it's 8.35.
Successful is the most important thing, because we are reading a lot of comments of our listeners and viewers gaining money, and this is what we want people to gain money, or at least so we can entertain them. Alvaro, let's go with your last ACCA.
Yeah, I agree with you, Edu. I think that some listeners were saying, Nations League is difficult, it's difficult to bet on the teams, but we have managed to get some value out of the games. And of course, the goals markets have worked very well for Daniele and I. And I'm sure that if you bet with us, Edu, probably you will have gotten good money too, because you agree with us in terms of goals and all that. So I'm going to go for the following. My ACCA is really high this time, actually. So it is Denmark to win, 187. England to score in both halves, 2.15. Over 2.75 goals in Netherlands, Wales. And Netherlands to score in both halves, that pays 16.07. I repeat, 16.07. This is my final offer in the last video of the season for us.
Thank you, guys. I will miss you. I will send you videos we can talk while we are on
Send us a postcard from your holidays. You're always on holiday anyway.
Exactly. Thank you, and see you hopefully very soon, of course, in the start of the new season. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Enjoy the summer. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoy our videos during the whole season. Remember, comment in the video, tell us what you like to see, for instance, in the next season, what you don't like about this channel. Every feedback is welcome, and don't forget, press the like, subscribe, and also remember that we have a podcast. Bye bye, thanks for watching, enjoy summer or the holidays.